On New York's so-called Forgotten Island are the haunting remains of a business empire that molded the city.
We used to call this the Psycho House because of the resemblance from Psycho from the movie. Like, we used to come here and just get close to the house and then get scared, run, take off.
The architecture is classic haunted house fare. The woodwork on the outside is all old and faded, and the beams are starting to lean over after years of holding up the weight.
The rounded balcony and needlepoint roof is a really common feature of this particular architectural style, but it really ups the creep factor of this house.
Within are artifacts of another century.
The inside is almost like a parody of a haunted house. The walls are covered in this material that looks more like flesh than wallpaper.
But one clue reveals the secret of why this house was built and how it was paid for.
In the living room is the centerpiece, the fireplace, which you would think there's nothing really significant about. But if you take a closer look at the bricks, you will see a very specific name.
This mansion once belonged to a multi-millionaire, one whose name is all but erased from history. On Staten Island is the former home of a wealthy businessman. Rick Rispoli came here as a child. Now, he's the caretaker.
This room was basically the main room of the house. It was used for entertaining, stuff like that. Back in the day, probably the high elites of the town and of the island back at the time, probably all met here and hung in this room.
But at the turn of the century, happiness turned to despair.
This house has a dark, tragic history, unfortunately. In 1894, the body of a man was laid there with a gunshot wound to the head.
There is a mystery still to it to this day. If it was a murder or not, there's a little controversy there. If it was murdered, if it was a suicide.
The deceased was an heir to a business empire. His father was a man named Kreischer.
Balthasar Kreischer was born in a small village in Germany. Kreischer was also a businessman, and he would become a very successful one.
In 1836, Kreischer boarded a boat bound for New York. Just 7 months earlier, Manhattan's business district was in flames.
It started in a warehouse, and then because of the winter wind, it sort of spread and went everywhere. Now, there was a fire department, but most of the rivers were frozen, so that hampered their efforts. And the only thing they could do was to create a fire break by blowing up the buildings around the fire.
Hundreds of buildings were lost. New Yorkers lived in constant fear, but Kreischer saw an opportunity to make money.
Kreischer was drawn to Staten Island because of rumors of a treasure in the wetland dirt. That treasure was clay.
The Western Bank had copious amounts of clay, enough for Balthasar to build his fortune.
This is how the Kreischers made all their money. Right here with the bricks. Balthasar Kreischer came here as a German brickmaker. New York City was burning down. He came here, got all the clay, built in his factory, built all his bricks, and helped build back Manhattan in the 1800s.
Clay presented an opportunity. The Great Fire only spread as it did because New York at that time was predominantly built out of timber.
Even at this early date, New York was a major metropolis with commodities everywhere and people packed in and buildings built right next to each other and out of timber of all things as well. So fires were inevitable, especially devastating ones like what they experienced.
Balthazar Kreischer built a factory on the riverbank.
And the factory was straight across the street, which was right on the waterfront here, was the whole factory, where they used to make the bricks and throw them on the boats if they needed to send it to Manhattan, up to New York City. He set up his own kingdom here.